I think we're ready to call the meeting to order. The time has arrived and we have a quorum. So let's start out with the approval of the agenda and minutes. Does anybody have an offering on that?
I motion to approve.
Okay, it's been moved to approve and seconded. Those in favor of accepting the minutes as posted and the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, carried. New business. Michael and Stephanie Hunter, two variance requests from relief from Cook County Zoning Ordinance number 37. Section 408C 4D to place an accessory structure at a reduced road setback where a minimum of 35 feet is required, and two, section 7.06D at a reduced top of bluff setback where a minimum of 30 feet is required. Property identification number 51-440-0040, file reference number 2022-21V. Neva.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicants, Michael and Stephanie Hunter, are requesting relief from the road setback requirement of Voyager Point and the top of bluff setback to place a 25-foot by 26-foot two-car garage on the property at 118 Voyager's Point. The structure would encroach 19 feet on the 30-foot top of bluff setback requirement and approximately 8 feet on the 35-foot road right-of-way setback. Currently, the property has no garage. The applicants have provided a site sketch with survey information by North Shore Land Surveying. Please review the application materials to review this information. I've provided the ordinance citation. Also wanted to add that this structure would also be within the bluff impact zone, which I forgot to mention in the staff narrative. For background, the property currently includes a cabin with a septic holding tank. The proposed building site for the garage is cleared and has been used for parking and storage previously. Voyager's Point plat was approved in 1960 by the Cook County Board of Commissioners. It included 29 lots and Voyager's Trail, which includes a 66-foot right-of-way width. 17 variances have been recorded within this plat between 1980 and 2019. For site conditions and considerations, the cabin on site is served by a holding tank, and the garage does not have pressurized water proposed. There's no issues with impervious surface coverage or wetlands. For slope, the parcel has a prominent bluff feature between the building site and the lake. The bluff feature forces all development on this lot between the road and the bluff. This lot was created before the state of Minnesota bluff rules were established. The application was legally noticed in the Cook County News Herald on October 14th. 13 letters of notification were sent to adjacent property owners as well as county departments and a DNR hydrologist. We received 3 comments by the time of the narrative preparation and by the comment deadline. All 3 of them were in full support, and they were neighbors on Voyager's Point. And I did receive 1 late comment today that's not included, since it was received after the public comment deadline. For staff recommendations, this property is located towards the terminus of the dead-end Voyager's Point Road. Approval of this variance does not appear to be likely to alter the essential character of the locality, as several nearby properties have non-conforming structures that have been approved by variances. If approved, the following conditions may be attached to this variance request. Number 1, no construction may be initiated until land use permit is approved by Land Services. Number 2, the property shall comply with Minnesota State Rule 7080 and the Cook County Septic Ordinance. Number 3, construction may not deviate from the plans submitted to and approved by the Board of Adjustment at tonight's meeting. And number 4, vegetation along the bluff shall remain intact.
Thank you, Neva. Is Michael and or Stephanie available for comment? If you could step to the front, to the microphone, identify yourself, and add additional comments as you see.
I'm Michael Hunter. I'm requesting the variance at 118 Voyager's Point. And I don't know if I have any additional comments. We do request it. We're using it for storage. It's a standard 2-car garage. I think in our packet we showed a rendering. It's a slab on grade structure. We don't plan on doing any excavation. We don't plan on taking any vegetation off the bluff. There's a couple small trees that we'll have to to take out that are within the footprint, but there's several large pines that we want to leave, and we plan to leave them.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would wish to speak in favor of it? Or does any of the board have any questions for Michael while he's there? Okay, thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else to speak in favor of it? Anybody to speak against it? Anybody to ignore it? Okay. We're in good shape here. We'll then remove this from the floor and bring it to the board for discussion. So, board, I'm open for the discussion.
Well, I've been up there and I make a motion, we approve it.
Okay, well, let's have everybody have an opportunity to
Okay.
comment first. Charlie, you got anything?
Familiar with the road and the neighborhood and don't see any issue with it.
Judy?
The only thing I would say is maybe a condition that it not be used for habitation, not become a bunkhouse.
Is that necessary, or is it duplicitous because of other laws? That's the question I would have.
We've had it happen. They've created
No,
a
I-
room and then we
in-
have another variance for another garage. So this is the garage.
Mr. Chair, I would state that before an accessory structure that is a non-habitable accessory structure be converted to a habitable one, it would have to approach the Land Services Department anyway for any further permitting or septic or any case would be. So they couldn't just convert that.
Okay, so, that suggests that if we did put the language in there, they could violate that. If we didn't put it in there, they could violate it just as easily. The question is whether we have something in place to deal with it regardless of what the choice is here. I don't have an objection to including that, but to me, it seems to be,
I just like it understood from the first day and the first owner. The next owner may come, oh, this would be a great bunkhouse, put in some bunks. porta
well, he's
potty.
still got to follow the
But
rules that
I
we
don't.
got.
But he's not putting water in it, he's not putting anything in it like that. It'd be hard to do anything without water in there, without a
I mean,
bathroom.
we just went through this up on Caribou Lake.
Okay,
They changed an attached garage to a third bedroom. They don't, it's a very small piece of ground, and we had to grant another variance for another garage.
this is detached though.
Doesn't matter. They can put a bunkhouse. I've seen many,
Okay,
many. And it's a real-
But so
this
what you're
is a
suggesting,
holding
Judy, I
tank.
think, is that the law isn't working if there's so many out there.
the
Is this
law-
language going to improve that?
Yes, it's understanding. Anybody who comes and looks at the variance will see that it's for a garage only. It's not habitable.
But even if it were that, and they wanted to make it so, they would have to make an application for a permit, which would be denied because it doesn't meet the conditions.
I'm not so sure they need a permit. They're not getting permits.
Well, we have a different problem with that, but
Tim
I'll
has
leave
a
it to,
comment.
all right, Tim, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Board Member Matschbacher. The way that it works, that we do have a provision in the ordinance that states at the change of use. This is a variance that's being granted for a storage facility. Or if somebody is going to convert that into a habitable structure, they would have to approach the Land Services Department to go through that process to do that. In essence, the board, another kind of principle of it is that the board can't bind the hand. So they could still ask for a variance down the road if they wanted to do something with that structure. And we can't say that they can't get a variance for it, but you could put in there for storage purposes only, but they can still come in and request and change it. So it would be like for informational purposes and kind of a redundancy of what the condition actually is.
Thank you, Tim. I'll leave it this way. If you wish to put it in there, make the motion and we'll do it.
I would put in a condition as storage purposes only.
Okay.
And
Terrific. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to add language to the conditions. We know what
Tim has his hand up again.
pardon? Oh, Tim?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for point of order and clarification, that includes all of the conditions that were suggested by staff.
Yes.
Yes. I should have been clear on that one, but thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carried. Language is included, no problem. That being said, it's been moved and seconded to approve it with the conditions as modified. Are we ready to vote on that? If so, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. You're free to go.
Thank you.
By the way, it did look like a pretty narrow space to try and put something to satisfy both setbacks.
Yeah, we were right in the middle trying to do that. Thanks.
They did a good job. They got it set right.
All right, new business number B, Peggy Anderson. After the fact variance request for relief from Cook County Zoning Ordinance number 37, section 9.03, to allow a substandard lot to be sold into separate ownership and developed. Property identification number 52-113-4255, file reference number 2022-22V. Neva.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant Peggy Anderson is requesting relief from the substandard lot requirements to allow an existing substandard lot to be sold into separate ownership and developed. The issue at hand is that the subject property was created in 1989, not in conformity with the lot size requirements for this zone district at the time. Therefore, the lot is not a legal lot of record. The property did abut another lot under common ownership, therefore the lots could not be administratively separated unless this variance is granted. On September 22nd, 2022, the larger conforming lot was sold into separate ownership, thereby making this variance request after the fact. The zoning ordinance does allow 2 or more contiguous lots of record to be sold and developed if they meet certain size requirements, and this lot does meet those size requirements of at least 66% of the zoning district lot size standards. However, this lot is not a legal lot of record because it was created after the zoning rules were put in place in 1985. I've included the ordinance citation for Section 9.03, which describes when a single lot of record can be allowed as a building site without variances, and also when 2 or more contiguous lots of record under common ownership can be considered a separate parcel of land. For backgrounds, previous to the September property sale, this property was one of 2 lots under common ownership under Peggy Anderson. The northern lot is 5.67 acres, and the southern lot is 3.96 acres. The subject parcel of this request is the southern parcel, which has no physical address. The northern lot has a house with an attached garage and a detached garage with a septic system. I should have added that this is a 5-acre minimum lot size area. That's how the 5.67 is conforming and the 3.96 is not conforming. County assessor records show that the larger 5.67 acre parcel was sold into separate ownership on September 22nd, and since the 3.96 acre parcel is no longer in common ownership, it is unable to have any permits issued on it for development as it's not a legal lot of record. For site conditions, the parcel has access to County Road 6 through Gustav Lane. No improvements have been made to the property. The application was legally noticed in the Cook County News Herald on October 14th. 24 letters of notification were sent to adjacent property owners as well as county departments. 1 comment has been received in Land Services at the time of the comment deadline, which was received by Melissa and Justin Rexroad, who were opposed to the variance approval. For considerations, the 3.96 acres, the subject property meets 79% of the dimensional area requirements for the 5-acre FAR3 zone district. In reviewing the criteria for separating substandard lots of record outlined in section 9.03, this 79% dimension does meet the 66% dimensional requirements. While it is regrettable that the applicant moved forward with this property sale while the variance application was under review, the after-the-fact nature of the request is not a reason for denial. The variance request must be reviewed by the criteria outlined in the Cook County Zoning Ordinance, included on page 6. Options going forward, number one, the variance is approved and the lot is allowed to be sold into separate ownership from abutting properties, and this would allow permits for development to be issued to the property. Option two, the variance is denied and remains in separate ownership from abutting properties, in which case the lots remains unable to be developed and land services would be unable to issue any land use permits. And option three, the variance is denied and the lot can be sold into common ownership with abutting properties. And then once it was combined with other abutting properties, we could issue permits. If approved, a condition of approval could be considered as follows. The property must be in conformance with the Cook County Septic Ordinance, and prior to the issuance of any land use permits, I should have added land use there, demonstrate that the property has adequate soils for residential development to the satisfaction of the Cook County Environmental Health Officer.
Thank you, Neva. Is Peggy Anderson in the room or a representative? Okay, would you step forward to the microphone, identify yourself, and offer us your comments?
Hello, my name's Virginia Palmer. I am Peggy Anderson's real estate broker. When we originally listed her house, we did talk about keeping both properties together, but because they had separate tax ID numbers, the presumption is that they were lots of independent record. There was just no indication that we should have been aware that they weren't, it wasn't a legally created lot, because historically, if it had a TIN number, it was a lot. So we had a signed purchase agreement for the sale of the house at the time we discovered that the property had not been properly created. So we couldn't cancel out on our existing purchase agreement because it was a valid lot. It was not contingent on us getting a variance for the other lot to be created. So, that's all I can offer on that one, unless you have any other specific questions of me.
Board members, any questions for Virginia?
Property homesteaded?
The house was her primary homestead, correct?
It was.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Virginia. We'll ask if there are any others out there that wish to comment on this particular project. Seeing none, I'll assume that there are none, and we'll withdraw to the board for further discussion. Okay, board, this is before us. What do we think?
Did you read the letter that they got in defying or going against this? Okay. I have a lot of questions on it, and I would deny it.
Okay.
I'm looking at the map, and I'm curious what the acreage is on all the other parcels in the neighborhood.
I don't have that, but there's a significant amount of substandard lots because of the Brandon
That's what I'm.
what is the plat name lying to the north of us? It's Brandon Road, but I can't remember the name of the plat. Those are all, I want to say they're in 2 to 3 acre,
Right,
which is why it just never occurred to us it wasn't a created lot.
right. The fact that she's been paying taxes and the zoning changed without her knowledge. That happened quite a bit when the zoning changed in '84.
Correct.
And no one caught the fact that it should be a contiguous lot based on the zoning. So I would believe it's certainly a good-sized lot for a home site, and we are short of home sites. And I would like to see it separated into 2 lots and grant the variance.
Okay.
The lot is actually a separate lot of record, not a separate lot of record. It's not a buildable lot of record, but it's had a separate tax ID number
Right.
since it was originally created.
But when the zoning changed, and it should have been combined, it didn't happen. And
When
she
was
I don't know the chain of title.
Yeah, she wasn't aware that,
Correct. Yeah.
so it's certainly a reasonable error. And the fact that this county needs lots for people to live here, I don't see a good reason to deny it. 3.96 is almost 4 acres. It's almost meets the standard.
Charlie.
I agree with Judy, with what she said. If I look at the surrounding lots, the proximity of other homes, as long as it can meet that one condition, that it can demonstrate that it has adequate soil, that it can be a buildable lot, I'm very comfortable with this.
Okay, I will entertain a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance request.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a...
With the conditions that's stated.
Okay, thank you.
I would second that.
You'll second? Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the matter? Hearing none, I'll assume we're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion is carried with dissent. Thank you. You're done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Last item tonight, short night. BFB Management LLC and Surfside Homeowners Association seeks a variance request for relief from Cook County Zoning Ordinance number 37, section 4.17C and 6.02 to install an electric vehicle charging station at reduced Highway 61 and rear yard setback requirements, as well as relief from Cook County Zoning Ordinance number 37, section 5.16, B1 for relief from the parking space dimensional requirements. Property identification number is 25-037-1000/0127. File reference number 2022-23V. Neva.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tesla is proposing to install an electric vehicle charging station at the existing Surfside Resort development. The project will include approximately 5,000 square feet of pavement to provide additional parking stalls, the installation of a utility transformer, 2 light posts, 8 charging posts, 2 charging cabinets, and switchgear. The setback from Highway 61 in the RCR zone district is 100 feet from center line. The proposed project seeks to place the parking area at the 50-foot setback from center line. MnDOT has reviewed the project and has no issues with the placement of the charging station. The road right-of-way extends 50 feet from center line, so the charging station will be placed up to the property line, just outside of the state highway right-of-way. 2 additional variance requirements are needed for this project: the structure setback from the rear yard line and the parking dimensional requirements. In the RCR performance standards, it is stated that the parking areas are not permitted within the required setback areas. Additionally, the zoning ordinance outlines a standard parking stall dimension of 9 by 20. However, Tesla has requested a deviation from this standard due to the electric vehicle charging space needed. For background, the proposed project is located within the existing Surfside Resort, which includes a cafe, spa open to the public, and residential facilities along Lake Superior. The proposed charging station is located immediately adjacent to Highway 61. There is already an existing turn lane for the east and northbound traffic to turn into the resort. The average time spent charging is 30 minutes, with a 45-minute being the average maximum charging time. Surfside offers a nearby spa and cafe with restroom facilities for use during the charging wait times. Currently, the building adjacent to the charging station is used for office space. This charging station will only service Tesla vehicles initially, but may open to other electric vehicles in the future. Tesla has received feedback from its customers that the North Shore of Lake Superior is its number one highest need for placing a charging station. Currently, Tesla charging stations are located in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and Duluth. Just recently, construction has begun to place a new charging station in 2 harbors. The goal is to have an electric vehicle charging station 60 to 90 miles apart. The smallest Tesla batteries can travel 250 miles per charge, with the largest batteries able to travel 400 miles, with cold weather impacting performance and decreasing those ranges. In reviewing the permitting needs for this project, staff determined that this proposed project does meet the nature of the uses described under section 4.17A4 for permitted uses. For public noticing, the application was legally noticed in the Cook County News Herald on October 14th. 11 letters of notification were sent to adjacent property owners as well as county departments, DNR hydrologist. No comments have been received to land services by the comment deadline. For considerations, an electric vehicle charging station will provide much-needed infrastructure support for both local and transient electric vehicle owners. The variance request requires relief from three-dimensional requirements, which in staff's view will not have a negative impact to adjoining property owners or the traveling public. The Minnesota Department of Transportation has identified no issue with your proposal. Additionally, no comments from the public have been received.
Thank you, Neva. Are there representatives on this issue in standard format? Please step forward, identify yourself, and let us know what you're thinking.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Austin Barclay, address 6801 Washington Avenue South in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Just want to give a quick introduction. Neva did a great job of putting that together. Want to explain the different levels of EV charging first. There are three. We have levels 1, 2, and 3. And level 1 EV charging is plugging your vehicle into a standard home outlet, which takes about 50 hours to charge your car. In other words, it's not a viable solution. Level 2, which there are many charging stations that are considered level 2, a little bit higher powered, but take about 4 to 8 hours to charge your vehicle. And what we are proposing is a level 3 charging station, which is approximately 30 minutes for an average charge time, up to 45 minutes maximum. And we really have a big need for this type of charging here on the North Shore. I hear from owners. I've been at Tesla a little over 6 years now, and I hear constant texts and emails about when we're going to have level 3 charging in any quantity on the North Shore. And I've been working for the last 3+ years on these supercharging projects, and some with Mr. Swanson back here, who is representing BFB Management. And due to some power availability constraints, grading constraints, we've got a lot of sloping here that make it difficult to find a station, as well as just frankly available parking spaces. I just want it to be clear that we've been working really hard to find a solution, and this is one that actually looks really promising, and we're really excited about it. So I'll take any other questions, but I just wanted to make those additional things clear.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Barclay?
Right now, this is a Tesla-only project. What would it take to have it charge other electric vehicles?
Yeah, we're currently working on some solutions. It would likely take an adapter of some sort. We don't have anything concrete right now that we're ready to speak about in detail, but that's something we're considering.
Okay.
Yeah, I had read that it was Tesla's intention to open up the superchargers for using with other cars.
Mm-hmm.
And that would make sense, especially, if the only ones are Tesla chargers. If I come in with my Kia, I would have a problem. But this is an exciting thing. For those of us that are fans of electrics, we need to expand that network, and this seems to be a logical one. And from the pictures, I think it's the most logical presentation. Those are a couple of my comments. Anybody else want to add anything more?
I have a question.
Okay.
Who will own the equipment and who maintains it? Does it belong to the Surfside development or does it belong to Tesla?
The equipment will belong to Tesla. We're in essence leasing the space or licensing the space from Surfside and owning and maintaining the equipment. That's the agreement we have with them.
Okay, so I would assume Tesla's doing the billing, Tesla's...
Correct. With the utility, we've got a separate, we'll have a separate transformer and a separate meter, and we'll get billed that way.
Okay. How does it remain competitive? Not a monopoly?
We don't ask for any exclusivity on the property. right next to us. Any other charging provider is welcome to come in and build whenever they want.
I would agree with that, and I'm aware that there are many national corporations doing exactly the same thing, and you could easily have another station across the road if there were available space. This is not anti-competitive, but it's productive in that it's supporting another industry that's growing, so.
Yeah, frankly, I'll say I hope other people see we're up here and realize they can come too.
Further questions? Okay, that's all we have for you at the moment. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Don't go away, though, we might have more. Seeing none, I will take it to the board. If we have further questions of the gentleman, we can, but otherwise, it's for our consideration at the moment. Anybody?
I think they're necessary. I think we need to let it happen.
Okay, Charlie?
Yeah, I think it's a great step forward.
Judy? Well, looks like you're free, because I feel pretty much the same way if I hadn't expressed that yet.
And we're talking about a variance for placement of it, and I think that's a good spot.
I agree. I agree,
Visible.
and that's what I had meant when I said I thought it was the most logical. Puts it in a place that can be seen, it's accessible, it does not take away anything that we have there now. We're not cutting down any redwoods to put a station in there. So I think personally, I think we're pretty safe on that one. I'm open to
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Do we have any further discussion? I hear none, so I'll assume we're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Thank you.
We have a new station coming.
All right, excited.
That brings us to the bottom line on this sheet, and mine says adjournment. Is there any other announcements or things? Nothing? No surprises for us? Never?
Next meeting will be on November 16th. so
November
we'll be off
13th.
more normal, and then after that, we should be back to the normal second
Was it
Wednesday of every
16?
month.
Wednesday, 16th.
Yep.
Before Thanksgiving.
Okay. All right, motion? But move to adjourn, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign, we're done. Thank you all for a
Come
30-minute session.